Hey Pink Posse, make sure you're tapping into Pink Sunday Radio every Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. Follow us on all of our platforms so you never miss an episode.
It's Tia. It's been a Mississippi minute, but we bite, baby.
What's up, Pink Posse? It's your girl, Ja. And yup, we back at it like a crack addict.
It's your girl, Jiggy, a.k.a. Tanika. Listen, pull up on us. It's time to cut up, because we back.
What's up, Pink Posse? It's your girl, Kogi, and we're back. Pink Sunday Radio. Of Pink Sunday Radio. I have my lovely co-host here with me today, Tia.
Hello, hello, hello.
Ja.
What's up, Pink Posse?
And Jiggy.
Hey, y'all.
We also have our guest here with us, award-winning film and television director, Miss Christine Swanson.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us. Before we get into the questions, we're going to have Ja give us our disclaimer.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent. Pink Sunday Radio is rated mature for language and subject matter. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Yes, language. Thank you so much, Ja. I want to also remind you guys that we're on StreamYard, of course, and we are across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. So if you have any comments, make sure you leave them in the YouTube, Facebook. We will see them here in StreamYard, okay? So, and if you want to pop into the studio, feel free to do so. Our co-host does have a link that will be put out there. All right, so without further ado, Miss Christine Swanson, please introduce yourself to our audience. The floor is yours.
Okay, hello everybody. I'm Christine Swanson. I'm a filmmaker and also a TV director, and I'm the director of episode 203 of PValley. I've directed numerous television shows and movies. I think the last movie I did of note would be The Clark Sisters, which aired on Lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm currently working in post on another movie that will be, we don't know. I did it independently, so we hope that it will be out soon, and it's going to be like a mega, it's going to be epic.
It will be, absolutely.
Well, I'm so excited. I'm gonna look forward to that, and please let us know, because we would love to have you on again.
Okay.
So so that you can promote that.
Yeah, I should add that the movie stars one of our PValley co-stars, Alphonse Nicholson.
Really?
Okay.
So
we'll certainly be doing a watch party as well.
Of course.
It's a romantic dramedy, and he delivers, because he's that guy. He's our generation.
Yes,
Marlon Brando, in my humble opinion.
I love that.
I can see that 1000%.
And you know what? That's kind of a new genre, right? Because I don't think, out of all the projects we've seen, romantic dramedy, it's kind of new.
Well, it's a romantic comedy, but there's the dramatic elements are as important as the comedic elements. So that's why I call it a romantic dramedy. But it's Best Man is a romantic dramedy.
Yeah, but I'm saying for Alphonse, I've never seen him do that.
Let me tell you something. You ain't even gonna believe this dude in this movie.
I'm so excited.
Electric. in a romantic. He's a bona fide romantic leading man in this movie.
Okay.
Really?
Playing opposite. I'll tell you guys, I guess, but there's this actress who was she was the original Angelica Schuyler on Hamilton. Her name is Renee Elise Goldsberry. So let's just say what they bring to the screen is unlike anything you've ever seen before and anything you'll ever see again.
Okay, with that exclusive.
Right. I'm like, not Pink Sunday Radio exclusive.
Yeah, it actually is. So you guys are the first to know this.
All right.
Thank you.
I'm editing it now, and every scene that I have with Alphonse, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this guy is everything.
He's a great actor. So
he is. And
he's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He's amazing. He's a great person to us and generous to us. He's so humble, like just to us in general, the radio, like he's amazing to us.
And if you ever met him in person, you can't.
I have. He's great.
You can't talk with him for 5 minutes before he's talking about his wife Nafisha.
Okay, pretty baby. Yes,
pretty baby.
Oh my God. I love that about him. Like he is unabashed. And he's like, have you met my wife, Nafisha? And she's just lovely and beautiful. And they just love on each other. And I'm just proud to have been able to work with him, in another way and to show another light on him that I think that he really takes over. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for sharing that because I was not.
I am so excited.
I know. I'm like trying to hold it together just because. I mean, yeah, that's everything. I'm gonna pivot just a little bit. My first question to you is: Spike Lee was your directing teacher, legendary Spike Lee.
Sure. Yes.
What are some of the gems that he gave to you and that you've taken with you throughout your journey in filmmaking?
So here's an interesting story. I was a freshman. I grew up in Detroit and I attended the University of Notre Dame, which is right next door in Indiana. And I decided to study finance and Japanese because Japanese was popular back then. And I thought if I studied finance, I could get a job. And back then, my generation, our parents was just like, you're going to college and we're just proud of that. Just go to college, We can't tell you what to study, but just graduate, So our job was to just get a good job, right? So I was a finance major when Spike Lee came to the University of Notre Dame to talk about Do the Right Thing. And when I heard him talking, I kid you not, a light bulb went off and I was like, people make movies for a living? I had no idea. But because of Spike Lee, both my husband and I, who also went to the University of Notre Dame, we were there together. We changed our majors. He was a government major. He changed it to film production. I changed mine to film theory. And I did research on Spike Lee and learned that he went to NYU Film School, graduate film school, after he attended Morehouse. So I was like, well, that's what I got to do, right? So after I finished Notre Dame, I applied to NYU Film School, got in, and Spike Lee was my directing teacher my last year at NYU. So the first thing that I learned from Spike Lee is that you can be a filmmaker and you can make a living out of it. And I would not have known that otherwise if not for him. So to this day, I'm always grateful to Spike Lee for being really a role model in that way. Now, it's funny because Spike, so many people have come up in my generation and we've become filmmakers because of him. And he kind of like, I think he's a little bit over it. He's like, yes, I know. But just being that first example was everything. And then leading me to NYU, him as my professor, what was beautiful about him being a professor is he's just like an open book. If you met him in person, he's not an open book. But if you see him in classrooms as a professor, he's an open book. So he shares with you really his journey, his wisdom, his ideas, and his advice. So I just kind of took all of that in. But the main thing that I took away from Spike Lee was that he first started out doing things independently and created a voice for himself before the industry told him who he was, before the industry said to him what you had to do. So I just took that on as kind of like the model that I should follow. And I really just followed in those footsteps because I didn't know any different, because that's what Spike did. So that is the beauty of having Spike having gone before us and just following in that model. And since then, I've kind of broken away and tried to create a voice for myself. But it all started with Spike Lee visiting the University of Notre Dame my freshman year.
Wow.
That's an incredible story. I love that.
Just a life-changing moment for you that changed your whole trajectory of your career moving forward. That's amazing.
It is. And this is the way that we have to treat mentors, because if I saw Spike on the street, he wouldn't know me from Adam. So one of the things that I've learned is like he can pour into you, right? And I learned what I needed to learn, but you have to go out and then create your own path. So it's like I'm not calling Spike talking about, hey, let me just get your advice on this, that, the other. I have other people in that lane now, but sometimes you can use people as a model to follow, and then you got to forge your own path. And that's why I want everybody to learn, because sometimes you may not have access to Spike Lee. You may not have access to Denzel Washington, but certainly you can study what they do and what they've done to get to where they are and where they're going. And that's accessible now more so than ever. You use that information to forge your own path. Okay.
Yeah,
That's what I did. So.
Well, that kind of leads into my question. So a lot of the people we have on in like directing and writing and that kind of stuff, they kind of like grew up wanting to do it, went to, maybe even a performing arts high school, college, and then went directly into their career. But your path is a little different because you took 15 years off to raise your kids and kind of came in what would be for most people mid-career.
Yes,
how do you think that affected you? What are the pros and cons of having done it that way?
Okay, so here's some things. Like it's just, I'm not just a filmmaker. I'm a Black woman in America, right? I was raised by like my grandmother and my great aunt. Not even by my own mother. I'm half Korean, and my parents divorced, and my Black dad from Detroit and my grandmother and my great aunt, they raised me, right? So I have always seen like Black women do what they do in terms of raising a family and working like nonstop, really to put me on the path that I was able to go on. So I just always had that in mind, right? That I thought I could do it all like they did. But here's the difference. They had a community of people. It wasn't just my grandmother, it was her sister and her cousins. And like we had an extended family of folks. And that's just like kind of like how I was raised. Fast forward to me as an adult, and like my husband and I moving to Los Angeles, we had no family. No extended family, and we had friends, right? But we were all kind of like on that struggle bus trying to figure out like, what do we do to navigate what it is we want to do? And then we also wanted to have a family. So I had my first child when I made my first feature film, which is called All About You, which starred Renee Elise Goldsberry, Lisa Ray, Teron Brooks, Vanessa Bell Calloway. It was also a romantic. It was more of a romantic comedy. And unbeknownst to me, I got pregnant, didn't plan it. But my idea was, you know what? I'm going to have kids and I'm going to still do my film thing. But then life kicked in. I kid you not. I had that kid and my brain turned to mush. And I couldn't manage it all, right? And I just kind of was fooling myself. Now, I also had a contemporary and a friend, and she had a son the same age as mine. And we kind of raised our sons together as playmates. And we were in a mom's group together called Mocha Moms, right? And her name is Gina Prince Bythewood.
Oh, I love
And
Gina.
Gina kept going, but Gina had like 2 nannies, and she just made it and only Gina had 2 kids, 2 nannies, 2 kids. A nanny, a housekeeper, whatever. She figured out how to manage her life in a way to keep going. After I had my second kid, I was like, I don't know how to do this on my own. And then and then in my depression, I had 2 more kids. So I had 4 kids total. And if you ask me today what I would do differently, I would not trade in not a one of my kids. So what I would do differently is nothing. That is the path God put me on. I would not have put myself on that path. I promise you. Left up to me, this is what I think my life would have looked like. I would have tried to forge ahead and have a career. I may have had 1 kid, maybe 2. And I promise you, I would not have a marriage, and my kids would be messed up because I would not have raised them. I would not have had the time to raise them, because in many ways, what's required in this industry to do what I do as a filmmaker and a TV director is almost sometimes a 0-sum game. If you ain't 100% committed, I promise you, there's 100 people waiting to take your place. So it's all consuming in a way that I didn't understand. I wouldn't have understood it. And so wisdom dictated that I just walk away for a minute. But my minute ended up being 15 years, right? So we left LA and moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. And we lived there for about 5 years. And then when we came back to LA, my husband started working at NBC Universal, and he just worked his way up, and now he's senior VP of production at NBC Universal. So that's a God story in and of itself. So as he was forging a path in making his career, I was still raising my children. And then I would say in 2015, I met an executive in 1999 at Sundance Film Festival. I had a short film at Sundance. And she told me one day, when I become a producer or an executive, I'm going to call you, right? So fast forward to 2015, and this executive called me and said, I told you I'd call you, and I want you to direct this movie for this network that I'm now running called TV One, right? So my entry back into working was at TV One, directing like 3 movies back to back to back. And honestly, I got my sea legs back because I never lost it. Like, listen, this is the thing I would love to tell women. Like, if you have talent, it doesn't go away, actually. You actually cultivate it and enhance it. Doing something else like I did, raising 4 kids. So being a mother and being a director, I'm better, I'm faster, I'm stronger. Nobody's tantrums don't bother me. I have 4 kids. Ain't nothing y'all can do. I had kids vomiting, and screaming all at the same time. And I still managed to get them to preschool and school, lunch is packed and everything. So ain't nothing I can't do like as a mother now. So it really became a superpower. I just didn't know it. I lamented the years that I had to stay away from working. But in hindsight, like if you met any one of my kids today, and this is what other people tell me, like my husband and I, we're told that we've done a great job with our kids. And the report card on your life, when you get to be my age, is going to be your family. It's good. Or look, you don't have to have kids. I'm a big proponent of do what you want to do. But if you feel that you're led to also be a mother, like do not let your life and don't let the career of it make you lose out really on another kind of blessing that you don't know and you won't know until you experience it. So I say God gave me a 15-year timeout because I would not have chosen that for myself. So my kids are the greatest blessings that I did not know to ask for. And then you look at somebody like Katori Hall. Katori Hall was pregnant season 2 with her 3rd child. Okay. She kept it on the DL. Nobody knew, but creatively speaking, like don't nobody measure up to Katori Hall today in the space that she's working in right now. Okay. She got 3 kids and a husband. So I think like you're seeing role models in terms of what's possible, but let me not tell you that it's hard. Let me just, it's hard, but like I said, I had examples of Black women who had less resources than I do today, do what they did and raise somebody like me, and raise somebody like my husband, and raise the generation of people that you're seeing today. So it's what can't we do?
I love that about your story, because I feel like there are a lot of women today who do want to have both the family and the career, and for you to stand here and say, hey, look, it's okay to take the break if you need to take the break, and it's okay to push through if you have the resources to push through. And 15 years, 10 years, 20 years, that doesn't matter. You can still come back and boom, hit it and have the success that you thought you could not have unless you started when you were like 17, 18, 19. And that kind of leads to a question that I want to ask, is about how faith plays that part in your journey, because well, you kind of just answered that. Like, you push forward and you move, away. But what would you say to someone who, is very faith-based and wants to be involved in this industry that sometimes can have such a dark shadow over it for different reasons? What would you say to someone?
Well, I would say this, like it's if you're expecting a cakewalk because you know God, then I would say you have a poor theology. Because there's nothing about a faith walk that does not include tribulations and trials and tests and everything that really is utilized to build character. So let me just say, me coming back into the industry, oh my gosh, we could do a whole new segment on every friggin' hurdle that I tripped over. It wasn't graceful. And every mistake that I made, getting to where I am, I'll be honest with you, I don't feel like I am where I could be. So it's still a journey. So I would say this, like, in this life you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I've overcome the world. So if you're a person of faith, you got to know what that scripture is, and you got to understand that tribulation is coming. It's really, what is your character made of to deal with the stuff that you have to face? And I don't think people who do what I do talk about that enough. I talk about it all the time, and I'm here. I tell women, like mid-career level women, I'm easy to reach. If you need somebody to talk to me first, because I could tell you what I did and what not to do. Okay, because a lot of this it's a game, and it's posturing, and it's really understanding what's needed and what's not needed. And you people sometimes lead with their insecurities, and that's the first thing people smell and will take advantage of, or use against you, or will undermine you or discourage you. So I like to say, like, before you get out there, talk to somebody who's been there before you. Okay. And figure out what those hurdles are. So instead of tripping over them like I did, and I'm all fumbling on the floor, and I'm like, somebody, Lord, help me. Instead of doing all of that, let me help you, like avoid that, or I teach a lot of writing workshops. So sometimes in the cities that I might direct a show in, if there's somebody on the ground already who can set it up, I teach a writing workshop, screenwriting workshop, because I can tell you for sure, like, some of y'all Negroes cannot write. Like, I see it. And here's my theory on it. I've had the blessing of having an education from the top film institution in the country. I have an MFA in directing. I have studied writing. I've studied under a lot of amazing teachers, and I figured out a way that, and I teach screenwriting at the University of Georgia to students who don't look like you always, who pay $40,000, $50,000 in tuition. Like, who has that? Seriously, in our community. right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna teach it to y'all. I'm gonna teach it for darn near free. Okay, if you want to do the work, let's show up. Now, I didn't say free. I said darn near free. But we can get this done in a way where you guys have to know what the tools are. See, the thing about us as a community, we don't lack for innovation. We don't lack for swagger. We don't lack for heightened creativity. We do that in our sleep. But what we lack sometimes is craft, just skill set. Like what do I do as a director? Really, like when it's on this side of the line where it's corporate, okay, and there's just certain things that we don't know. Who's gonna tell us, right? And who's that generous and open in terms of sharing that knowledge? And that's where we have failed. Okay. I don't think people are as generous, but I disagree. I'm going to contradict myself because a lot of my peers, if you approach them, I think they would be as equally generous. It's like maybe asking the right people. So instead of like just thinking like, I want to do this, let me just go at it and like make a bunch of mistakes. How about talking to some people who made those mistakes so you can kind of avoid them? So that's what I think that we can do as a community of people who have not had the advantages of being in this industry for over 100 years, right? Like we're kind of new, right? But all our newness is great. Listen, even our bad stuff makes money. I ain't gonna name names, fill in the blanks. Our bad stuff makes money. All right. So it's like, but we don't want to perpetuate the bad stuff, right? But it's like, let's get in here and learn the craft. Let's learn the craft, and see how much of it you can use, then apply into your work. So when you guys are ready to bust in and break through, you ain't making the same mistakes that we've already made.
So speaking of us as a community, I wanted to pivot to the Clark sisters because when that movie came out, it was an event on my timeline and Black Twitter. So I was wondering, like, the Clark sisters are near and dear to a lot of people. Were you nervous about getting it right? And what was it that you think you said in the interview process that made them choose you as a director for this film?
So, yes, I was nervous. It's like I always have a healthy dose of anxiety before I do anything. Like, and that just keeps me humble. Like it's an internal thing. And I'm like, because the day I got it all figured out, I just feel like I'm gonna just mess up royally, So I always have a healthy dose. And I say healthy because you could combat the nervousness with craft, with a vision, with experience. So you put all that on the table, then it manages some of that anxiety, and the rest is execution. Okay, so that's how I kind of deal with the nerves, because it's always there, but you have to manage those nerves because you want to make room for the sacred to come forward. Okay, and the creativity to bubble to the top. So it's just managing that just enough so that the magic can happen. Okay. And the magic to me, like it's some kind of internal knowing inside of you that I could do something with this, right? You got to know that and believe that, and just maybe just a little bit. Okay. If you just got a little bit of that, and then that helps you execute, that helps you move forward, that helps you get to the next day. And like, okay, did I get this shot? Did I do this scene right? So it's a thing that somebody told me one time, asked me, it's like, hey, how do you eat a brontosaurus burger? Anybody know the answer?
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
If you just manage it with one bite at a time mentally, you can get through the mountain that you're going to have to climb. Yeah. So what did I do in the interview process? Well, I think the producers approached me initially because I directed this movie for TV One called The Mickey Howard Story.
Yes.
Yeah, and the Mickey Howard Story kind of like just broke through in a way, like kind of like the way the Clark sisters did, but not like if the Clark sisters were here, Mickey Howard was here. And it was kind of like this, just a Black story that Black people love, right? And so that's why I got the interview, I think, for Clark sisters. And so when I finally did talk to like the producers for the Clark sisters, like I talked to them like I'm talking to you now. Like I don't look at things like I hope you can see what I can do. I don't talk like that. I'm like, this is what I'm gonna do. Okay. Like I knew coming into this, I could make this a hit movie. I don't know how then. I was like, listen, you need to hire me if for no other reason than I'm from Detroit. Like, how you gonna do a movie about Clark sisters and not hire an award-winning director from Detroit? If you don't get that part right, you're gonna fail at every other level. So I essentially like articulated that left and right. I'm from Detroit. I'm from Detroit. Like, I'm from Detroit, So like they really had to sleep with that and grapple with that because it made sense. And like I'm not just from Detroit. Like I grew up at Oak Grove AME Church in Detroit, in the hood. Like I'm really from Detroit. I'm not from the suburbs. Like I'm like a church girl from Detroit. Like that is who you want to direct this. So I would say that's the number one thing that the producers got right, is that they hired me. And the second thing that they got right is that they hired Ingenue Ellis. Like I didn't pick Ingenue Ellis, like the network and the producers did. And then the rest of it was just kismet. It was like God he just opened the oceans for us and was like, go. Now, it was the hardest film I have ever made in terms of the difficulty of it I can't even tell you all the hardships that were part of that production. But here's the thing. Remember what I said? In this life, you will have tribulation, right? Be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world. So that was my mindset. Like, oh my gosh, now we got to deal with this. Oh my gosh, now we got to deal with this. But I always felt deep down inside, like the harder it got, the more special it's going to be. That's just my mindset. Like, it's like sometimes people like, okay, look, I'm gonna use Oprah for an example. Like the harder the lives that people have led, the more spectacular they become in life for whatever reasons. And I'm not gonna endorse that because I don't like the idea of that kind of trajectory. Okay. But I'm just saying in my example, like the harder things got, to me, I felt like, oh, this gonna be special. There's reasons why there are all these kinds of attacks, right? And then even as the movie came out, I wasn't really sure, like that. It was good. It was my best work, and I still don't think it is. But that said, sometimes you do the work, you put it on the altar and give it up to God, and the rest of how people respond to it is not my business because I did my job. Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%.
And then as it was screening, I just was looking on Twitter as I was watching the movie. And I'm like, what is going on Twitter? On Twitter, I realized, like, I think people like this movie. So I did not know it until I saw it on Twitter.
Until you saw it.
Yeah, you just got to do the work. And the outcome is not always your business.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that so much. I think what you brought to that story is authenticity. And I'm so happy that you were the one that directed that story, because too many times there are directors that don't bring that authenticity. And you brought it. The passion, the compassion, and the heart. You could feel it. You could feel it. You really could. So thank you. I want to just take a brief pause before we continue. And we spoke about Alphonse, and he's definitely on his steady grind.
Are you an everyday hustler? Are you always on your steady grind? Are you a Black storyteller that matters? Check out actor and philanthropist J. Alphonse Nicholson's signature apparel line at 5grinds.com and pick up a t-shirt, hoodie, and book bag and tell the world who you are. That's FIVE Grinds.com.
So how did you end up getting down to the Valley?
So I just started directing episodic television. I done my first episode of TV directing was an episode of Chicago PD, which if you guys can find my episode, it's called Black and Blue, and I want to say it's episode 608 or 508. But interestingly, like they gave me a Black love story. Like, so my episode of Chicago PD is a Black love story. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm about to tear this up. Right. So I did that. And then I directed an episode of FBI. No, then I did Clark Sisters. And then I did FBI. Right. And then after Clark Sisters came out, I think like you were saying, Jiggy, on Twitter, and everybody named Mama saw Clark Sisters. I got 3 calls specifically from Black women showrunners. And each of the showrunners were like, girl, Clark Sisters. Like, wow. And they were like, can you come to my show and direct an episode? Right. And then so one of the calls that I got was from Katori Hall. And she was like, girl, Clark Sisters. You know, so can we talk? So we just started to talk. And then just based on that, she gave me, she booked me on an episode of PValley. And I have to say, like, initially, like being a church girl from Detroit, I was like, I don't know if I'm the right director like, for PValley. Just what I heard of, I'd never seen it. Right. And then I just prayed about it. And this is my thing. Like, I don't write the material, like, but there's a certain kind of thought process that happened where there's kind of a judgment that you bring to things, right? And I just kind of felt like I was being judgmental. And because of that, I'm like, I just felt led to go do it because I can't judge something that I didn't really know. And I'm being honest with you. When I got there, it was as raunchy as I thought it was, and more so, you know. But here's the difference. Here's the thing that I did not understand and I did not see. Like I remember like meeting Miss Brandy Evans, plays Mercedes. And I remember seeing her first because I was just watching them setting up other stuff. And I'm watching her, and then we kind of looked at each other, and then it was, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm like, she's special, you know? And then I got to meet her. And when I tell you, like this woman, first of all, she's a preacher's kid. Did y'all know that? She's a preacher's kid. And so we immediately connected. But when I tell you that woman has a heart of gold, and like you wouldn't know this unless you meet people in person. So part of the reason, like actually, I was very successful in directing my episode, which directing an episode of PValley is like directing an independent film. It's not like directing a regular episode of TV. I am telling you, Katori has a lot of stuff in there that you got to manage in 12 days. And I'm like, how do you do this? But I know how to do it because I'm a guerrilla filmmaker. So I just put that hat on, right? And part of the reason why I was successful is Brandy. Like there would be days when like we'd shoot something on her and then we would have to shoot something else, but I would need her right after we finished shooting that. But if she had left and gone all the way to her trailer, you know, and for her to come back, that travel time just ate up time. Right. So I was just like, Brandy, can you just stay on set? You know, just in case I finish quicker and then we can get to your scene sooner. She was like, absolutely. Mind you, she's the number one on the call sheet, right? She's the star of the show. And there was like at least 5 times or more that she was like, I'm right here, Christine. I ain't going nowhere. I'm right here. and she helped me to succeed.
Mm.
Right.
Mhm.
Jay
Love that.
Alphonse, the first day that I worked with him, I'm looking at him, I'm like, dude, who are you? I've worked with a lot of actors, okay?
Mhm.
And like sometimes this kind of magic happens on a set where something just hits you like here, and then in your gut. And I'm like, this dude, I mean, he feels like the lightning bolt that he is. You feel that.
Mhm.
So I'm looking at him, I'm like, who are you? Like, who are you? So I was like, dude, I'm gonna put you in a movie one day. Mark my words. He was like, bet. I said, give me your number right now. And sure enough, when I called him for my movie, he was like, man, you kept your word, And I was like, yes, I did, but I know how to call him. Like, I know what you are. I know what you are before you know. Although I think he has an idea,
Yeah.
He moves with a lot of bravado, but I'm gonna tell you something that's special about this guy. Like when we were negotiating like his contract, it's a low budget indie film, and like I had 2 female leads, and he was the 3rd lead, right? So but people's reps, everybody thinks that their person is number 1, right? But it just was getting a little haggly, and I was like, dude, we need to wrap this up. And let me just say, I have 2 Black women who are the leads, 1 and 2. And we just can't give you more than them. He was like, no, I'm never going to ask for more than 2 Black women who are the number 1 and number 2. Let me handle this right now. I'm going to call my people. It's a wrap. Don't worry about it. This brother was like, if the 2 Black women are the number 1 and number 2, I will never ask for more than what they're getting.
Oh man.
Wow.
I never heard anything like that in my life. Do you understand what that means?
Yes.
That's exceptional.
Yes.
Hope that gives me for us in the way that we are looking out for each other. He didn't have to do that. He was like, well, I'm J. Alphonse Nicholson. Like, I should get none of that.
No.
None of that. It was like, let's wrap this up, sis. We're going to take care of this and let's go do this movie. You understand?
That's beautiful.
Rare. That's rare. At least I don't see that. And
It's rare.
Yeah.
Extremely rare,
So,
especially within our community.
Well, and listen, and so to me, like, these are the brothers who are our Black stars. We have to make sure that we keep them there, as opposed to the industry dictating to us. These are the Black leading men that we choose. You see the difference?
Yes.
Okay. I saw Jay Alphonse and I was like, rip, like what? Like, no, this the guy to me. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that 1, he's a stellar actor, right? But number 2, the love that he has for his community is like, it's just, it bubbles over. You feel that. I told you when he's like, you got to meet Nafisha. That's all I need to know. A brother who loves his Black woman, his Black wife, as much as he does, and is unabashed about it. I'm like, that's the brother that I want to be the lead of my movie. You see what I mean? Like, they don't offer that to us. They give us the fools who beating up white women. Allegedly.
You know,
okay. But I'm like, did we choose them?
Come on.
Or were they chosen for us?
For us.
Come on, Christine. Yes, ma'am. Come on, Miss Swanson.
We collectively should have more power in who we choose. But the way the industry is configured, they will choose people for us. And it's just, it don't click. I'm looking, I'm like, I don't understand. Like, it's just not clicking. And I'm working with this actor who ironically enough, is playing a gay rapper, right? On a TV show. And I knew in my gut, oh, this is a leading man that Black women will appreciate. That's what I felt. That's what, and honestly, that's all I know. Like I grew up in Detroit. Like I only like black men. I'm like, I know a real black man when I see him on a set. Do you understand? You don't see that a lot. And I'm not just seeing it, it's something that you feel. So kudos to Katori Hall, because she felt it too and cast him to play Lil Murda. And he has so much craft and empathy that he can play opposite a man or a woman. And it's always believable and authentic.
Yes.
And
That's
relatable.
the part.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's what we deserve. We deserve that kind of nuance, authenticity. That is rare. That is rare. That Alphonse brings to the table. Brandy Evans brings to the table. Brandy is as real as they come. Do you hear me? That girl is real, you know? And it's, to me, like that's the thing that I had to see and experience without judgment, you know? That these are real black folks that are coming through in an authentic way, because we have an authentic voice, like a Katori Hall, pushing these kinds of characters to the forefront that we have never seen before. You know why we've never seen it before? Because the Katori Halls of the world weren't picking these people. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right.
That's
We
right.
got an industry picking folks, and like, because we're so thirsty and starving for representation and images of us, we take the processed meat. We take the processed fast food and we eat it, because what else is there? You know? But when you get something that is real and authentic, it just hits you in another way, and you're just like, what is happening? So I feel like this is starting to happen, you know, and it's always led by a black woman.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, woo, I feel full, because that was a sermon that I needed. I think for me, my question, John Clarence Stewart. When you talk about another actor who is just brilliant, his role as Big Teak.
That's right.
What was it like working with him? He had amazing scenes in The Dirty Dozen, and if you could just give us a, couple of behind the scenes moments, maybe.
Well, this was my first reaction to him. I was like, ain't that musical theater guy? I was like, I don't really understand how that works. You know,
what's
like
he doing here?
And I knew him from what's that show? The
Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist.
Yeah. So I was like, maybe I think Tori dropped the ball on this one. You know, like I'm like, no, I don't get it. You know, but that's the thing of prejudging stuff. You know, I had to course correct myself. You know, like the first day that I meet him, he was scary. Like he was like method acting, and he was scary. He was big T on camera and off camera, and I was kind of like, this brother looks scary. Like, what we gonna do with him, right? So. And I have worked with some scary actors. And by scary, I mean, people are so committed to their character. Like, I don't know who I'm talking to sometimes, you know? So when that happens, what I do is I just focus on the work.
Yeah.
Okay? Big T, I'm going to need you to stand right here. Okay. Okay. And then Big T, turn this way. When the camera comes this way, just direct. Because that guy's so committed to his character, ain't nothing I need to tell him. I just need to get out his way, is what I felt, right? And John is so he's a true talent. Like, he is committed to his craft. So everything that I would be doing, I just see him do like this. He's like watching. I'm telling you, it was scary. It was really scary. Because I wanted to be like, I need you to stop watching me like that, okay?
Okay.
Go somewhere and sit down. I don't need you to be like hawking over me like this. But that's the small details you don't get into. So I was just like, just doing my job. Just doing my, and he'd come up and ask questions like, okay, so I don't understand why, why this, or this is happening. And it could sound like he was, challenging my authority, but I'm not that sensitive. Okay. Told you, I'm a mother of 4.
Right.
I'm not that sensitive. So I'm like, okay, this is what I'm thinking. A, B, C, and D, and blah, blah, blah. And he'd be like, okay. And then I just get back, go do my job. And like, oh my gosh, when I tell you like what I would see him giving me on the camera, I'm just like, you felt somebody who was tortured, right? He exuded that every second of the way, whether we were shooting or not. Talk about commitment to the craft. So you take somebody like that, and you taking J. Alphonse committed to the craft.
Yes.
What do you think is going to happen? Right?
Magic.
You felt that energy every second of the way. So that brother really humbled me in a way that I had not anticipated. And it's that I thought this of him, like Zoe's Playlist, musical theater. I'm like, how he gonna do this? How he gonna play this? And like, he a little light skinned too. So I was like, he looked a little soft,
You know what?
And I did, but no diss to the light skinned brothers. But when I tell you, he brought it. And I was like, there you go. I'm gonna stop judging stuff because you don't know what somebody can do till you give them that platform and let them go. And that guy just went for it. And like, I'm a fan of his forever because I can see what he can do on this side, and then I can see what he can do on this side. And if you can go from this to this, ain't nothing you can't do, right? So I'm
right.
I'm enamored with that guy, and he knows. Like when we finished this, I was like, dude, oh my gosh, you were fantastic, and we were able to work together because once he figured out that I knew what I was doing, like he could relax and trust me, and then once you give me your trust and you do your job and I do my job, we're gonna make some magic. So let's go do this. So that dude he is phenomenal.
This has been so amazing. And one of your PValley alum is watching and in the comments, Tao. And he said one, that you paid it forward by letting Brandy and him shadow you a little bit on the set last season. He's so grateful of that.
That's right.
And he has met very few people on a certain level that are as generous as you are. So, and he has been singing your praises here and all over Twitter. So we just wanted to highlight him.
Beautiful.
That is something interesting. Like sometimes this happened to me like 3 times when I've directed episodic television. I've had 3 different leading ladies come up to me and say, can I shadow you? And I'm like, you got hundreds of directors come through here, and they felt comfortable enough to ask me that. And I always with especially actors like on set, I know why they asked me to shadow, because I just give off that mom vibe. I'm like, I love you. I'm gonna take care of you. What you need, right? And the thing is, I'm also a teacher by nature, right? So it's like, so I'm like, Brandy, you're with me every day. Like you are shadowing me, but it is different when she's working. She's in work mode. So on her day off, one day she came and sat right by me on the monitor and was shadowing me, would ask questions, and I would explain to her, like, this is what I'm doing, this is why. And I was happy to be able to teach her or anybody like who's already there. The reason why I have to say they're already there, because I'm a guest director, right? how I look coming on set to my job where I'm a guest and I'm like, this is my posse, right? And they just gonna shadow me. I can't do that. I can't bring people without the permission of Katori Hall and the producers or whatever. So Katori ran that, but Brandy ran that by Katori, and everybody was fine with it. Then I am happy to teach. And that is one of the things that when I made this feature film with J. Alphonse, I actually brought 8 to 10 interns, Black kids. It was one white kid, like on set as my guests. So they worked like in a PA capacity, but because they were my guests, they did not have to work in fear, right? So I'm like, you can ask anybody any question at any time. And because you're my guest, they are going to have to treat you accordingly. And then on the weekends, we held writing workshops, producing workshops, and then they would have lunch with the actors. So they got really a film school experience by working on an independent film. And both my husband and I were able to mentor them in a safe setting. Now, mind you, they went through the ringer too, because there are politics to everything, but they got to deal with it firsthand with my husband, Michael, and I mentoring them through the film process. So that is what I'm committed to doing wherever I go. And as I direct television, to the extent that we have permission from the studio, the showrunner, I think, I'm going to always say that, can you find a Black woman who can take advantage of shadowing me? So that's because I'm going to teach this to the next generation, so you don't make my mistakes. And so you can succeed quicker, faster, and stronger than it took me, just running into walls and stumbling.
Yes.
And stuff like that. So, yeah.
But we are so grateful for you coming to Pink Sunday Radio. And please join us again when you get closer. I know you're editing that project.
Will do.
But we will be reaching out to you again so you can come tell us all about that project with Alphonse. And you spending your time with us has been beautiful. The way you have opened up and shared some gems with us. I asked you about gems about Spike Lee, but you've shared a lot of gems with us today. So I thank you. Please tell our audience upcoming projects and where they can find you, all your socials.
Yep. So I see Swanson 44 on all platforms, and my upcoming film, which I'm editing now, starring Renee Elise Goldsberry, Lynn Whitfield, and J. Alphonse Nicholson. Hopefully coming to you. We used to say in a theater near you, but we'll have to figure out what platform it comes out on. But it's certainly my love letter to Black folks and Black women, particularly, because it's time for us to start eating some filet mignon and not junk food. So let's hit it.
Love that. Thank you so very much. This was incredible. Everything about it was amazing. I still have 1,000 more questions, but we don't have 1,000.
I know.
But we will ask them when you come back.
Happy to do that, and keep doing what you guys are doing, because again, Black women like yourselves are the reason why I do what I do, and you guys are at the forefront of really creating a lane for us to tell great stories. So keep doing what you're doing. I thank you for your work.
Thank you
so much. We appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Pink Sunday Radio.